Oops. Peace, family. My hair looks crazy. I knew it was going to look crazy. You knew it was going to look crazy. Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. And I am coming to you live to do a cosmic tea for the energy that we can expect for this week. So I don't really look at the chat when I'm doing live, so I'm so sorry if I miss anybody's anything, but I'm going to ask you for your forgiveness. Let's get into the chart, actually. Let's get into the astral insights. And the reason that I don't look at the screen, look at myself or like the chat is because it just ends up distracting me, which is super annoying. And I need to be able to pay attention. So we're just going to forego all of that. I don't know if other people have that where it's just like, I can't stop looking at myself and now I'm distracted by what's going on with me. So we're setting the clock to the 5th of May at midnight, Greenwich Mean Time. We're using whole sign and we're using tropical astrology. The only reason that we're using tropical astrology is because I pull the insights using tropical astrology for the company that I write insights for. So they are all tracked in like a daily capacity. Yeah, they're all tracked like using tropical. So it is just going to be easier for me to do it that way. I'm getting the sense that we should draw from the Rose Oracle for the overall energy of the week. I do want to get a card, different cards for, each day. But what I used to do when I used to go on Instagram Live to do this is I would get a card for the realm of like social life, romantic life, and professional life. And I think that I will do that as well. But so already the message is coming in for me. I'm hearing that song, listen to your heart when it's calling for you. Listen to your heart, something else you can do. I don't know where you're going, and I don't know why. Listen to your heart before you tell them goodbye. And I'm hearing that version. There's this version that came out when I was in high school, because that is a song from the 80s. But there was this like EDM version that came out when I was in high school. I don't remember what it was called, but that's the version that I'm hearing, and it always makes me laugh because it goes dun, 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 dun. No offense to like people who love EDM. I just think it's so funny. I myself am a big fan of dance like music, but I'm not a huge EDM person. I thought that I was, but it turned out that I'm actually a dance music person, and I like club music, and I like house and that sort of thing. Like I'll even say like I'm not really a big fan of techno. And as a Black artist on the music scene, that's like, oh my God, you're not supposed to say that, but fuck it. I don't care. So we are going to use the Oracle cards to also get insight into those piles that I was talking about. Oops. So yeah, today is the 5th of May, and the only transit that we have today, give me a second, let me pull this up. The Sabian symbols. I know you're all probably like, you should have already had this up already, but I don't know. I don't mind just like doing it as we talk here on live because, you know, what's the big deal? What's the big rush? I know that y'all rush, but I actually listen to these kinds of things. Like I listen to readings, like when I'm doing laundry or like all throughout the day, I'm listening to readings while I do like my stuff. So I don't mind if they're hella long, and I will come back if it's like a reader that I really love and it's really fruitful. I will come back and I will listen, even if it's like 3 hours. Though it is a bit harder to get started listening to those just because like it does end up being very long. But let's talk about the overall energy of the week. We'll get into the different transits that we're going to be experiencing, and then we'll break it down by the sectors of our lives and how we're going to be approaching that. And we'll use the tarot for clarification. But after the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy, it's over acceptance. I have been getting this feeling. That is the vibe. I feel like we are coming into a new time that is a little bit unfathomable. I really want to encourage people to believe in miracles. Last night I was hearing that this is the age of miracles. Like, one thing for me is like, I am sober in recovery, and what I know about myself is like, to me, that's a miracle. Every day that I'm sober, every day that I want to be sober is a miracle, because there was a time in my life where I didn't want to be sober. And that was one thing, but it's a whole other thing where like you want to be sober, but you can't be. So desperately. And that is a really scary place to be in. If you are somebody who struggles with substance use disorder, anything like that, you don't have to live like that. That's all that I want to say. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk about this stuff, but you know, I've done like mini testimonials about that, but yeah, I think that what's coming up, there is salvation coming, is what I'm hearing. But it is a miracle every day that I draw a sober breath and I want to. That's the biggest miracle, is that I want to and I do. Then like it's a whole nother ball game when it's like I don't want to and I still do, because I recognize that like it very quickly will go from me not wanting to and then like picking up and then just being off to the races, back at that point again where it's like I really want to be sober but I can't be. I don't know how to be. Like something has to give. You know what I mean? Where you have no sovereignty, you have no control. And so what I am picking up with this is this week sovereignty is returning to us. Like the power is being put back into our hands. And we're really about to understand like how to move. I'm hearing show them how to move in a room full of vultures, where you may have thought that people were better than you or had something over you because like of the struggles that you were experiencing in your life. You know, the Most High Divine Creator is about to show you that that's not the case. They were making it hard for you because they wanted what you had. You know what I mean? So vultures they eat dead things. So they pick over dead things. So they're trying to kill you so that you would, so that they could pick over you. And this is not like literally, maybe for some of you, it is literally, maybe it's like, oh, like they wanted to get you out of the way so that they could like get your inheritance or something, or that they could get your power, your position of power, something that you were about to inherit. So this has to do with, Pluto, it has to do with Scorpio, and it has to do with the 8th house. It technically also would have to do with Mars, because Mars was the ancient planetary ruler of Scorpio, but I feel like, yeah. Anyway, so, you know, it could be an Aries in your life. But what I have to say is this is a person who's very like impulsive and compulsive. You might be that person. And you might just have your death drive in overdrive. This could be because of an entity upon you, but it also, I mean, like, you know, I say this a lot. My dad would be like the spirit of something is on that person. So like the spirit of malice, the spirit of envy is on that person. Y'all have to understand that's really what it is. It really is spirits of mounting people out here, but you don't get mounted by those spirits when you are operating from a higher vibration. And when you do the shadow work to transform yourself and transmute your essence, and you transmute all of everything that you inherited, like all of the karma that you inherited, everything that you were born into, you know, your essence always stayed the same. But from life to life, incarnation to incarnation, you inherit what was left behind for you when you enter into the body and the bloodline, you know, that you enter into. And even that happens, like these contracts happen when you enter into like the place where you're born, the place where you grow up. You know what I mean? Those things that you get indoctrinated into, and you take on those ideological systems and ways of being. That's your karma too, because you act from that place. So we all have karma that we have to transmute. But the thing about, you know, Pluto, Scorpio, I'm going to stick with Pluto instead of talking about Mars, because I feel like Mars is a whole different story, but it has to do with karma. Karma is the Sanskrit word for action. You know what I mean? Like, you can be born into a family unit that does things a certain way, but if you know in your spirit, you know that it's not the way to do things, and you still do it anyway, that's your karma. Because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to transcend that indoctrination and that programming. That's what a person who develops self-sovereignty along the hero's journey, that is the major arcana of tarot, that's what you're supposed to do. But a lot of people don't do that. And then it's like, well, you know, that's just how I was raised. I don't give a fuck how you were raised. You're an autonomous human being and an adult. They're going to pay for their actions, and you're going to pay for yours. You're not going to get to write it off onto somebody else. You know what I mean? When you know better, you have to do better, or you're going to be, because you will be responsible for that energy. We're talking about Capricorn energy here, karma, Saturn, right? And we're also talking about Uranus and Saturn in relation to Aquarius, because we are entering into the time of Aquarius. All those old systems and ways of doing are being wiped out. You can get your slate wiped clean, tabula rasa. You can get your slate wiped clean. I don't know what y'all had going on in your schools, but in where I grew up, we learned about like John Locke and the idea of tabula rasa, which is one of the founding principles of, you know, American democracy and like the hegemony of American culture. We learned about those things, and we learned about the philosophers that informed. This was like, I mean, honestly, this was like 8th grade and high school. This wasn't stuff that I learned at university, which I did learn it in university, but we learned about those things. And if you don't know, like, if you're wondering, oh, what kind of karma do I inherit as somebody who's born into America, especially if you're trying to become an American citizen, you better go find that stuff out, because you don't know, maybe you don't want to be initiated into those contracts. You better think about that. A lot of people don't know those things. I'm giving y'all the keys. Okay. A lot of people don't know those things. Be mindful, because I'll tell you what, my aunt spent over 20 years trying to become an American citizen. It never happened for her. And, you know, I truly believe that ended up being the best thing for her. Well, she stopped trying. She went back to my home country. She lived a much better life there than she was living here. You know what I mean? She would come back and like tap back in with this life, but her money went up crazy, her career, you know what I mean? Like, and she got to be back home on the land that she was born and raised on. You feel me? Like, I just think that's really important. My grandfather, that grandfather, my maternal grandfather, he never wanted any of his kids to become American citizens. And you have to understand, like, these people, it's not hidden. So I don't understand why people get confused about this. This is not hidden. The people who founded this country were occultists. Very open knowledge. They were occultists. And if you think for a second that they were not gambling with the people who would become the citizens here, and that they weren't initiating people, and like everything, all of this stuff is built on occultism. Word two, my grandfather was the head Freemason of my country. This is not something that I'm just like pulling out of my ass. These are also things that are very like, I grew up outside of Washington, D.C. You'd go to the Smithsonian's. I've been to the National Mall every single year growing up. We'd go to the National Mall, you know, go see the monuments, go to see like the Constitution, go to the Smithsonian museums. We did that every single year from the time that I was in 3rd grade to the time that I graduated high school. Okay, so this stuff is not hidden. It's right there in front of you. You want to be really very mindful of the company that you keep and the groups that you align yourself with, because Spirit is saying to me that it's about like the company that you keep is potentially a big part of why you haven't been getting certain things in your life. That's also something that's coming up for me. And so this knowing of having to protect your spirit and having to protect your energy and your aura in order to fulfill your mission on earth, in order to like be in your purpose, you know, that's that knowing and that putting that into practice is what's turning the tides for you. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, this idea of like the spirit of this thing was upon this person, you know, it would have been super easy for me to continue doing the things that were normalized in the culture that I grew up in. I've said this before. I think I said this in my last live. When I was younger, where I grew up, like everybody would fight. You know what I mean? You like physically, like talk shit, get hit. It like knuck if you buck. If you're not really about it, don't say nothing. But I haven't fought anybody since I was 19 years old. Like, I don't do things like that anymore. You know what I mean? Because that's not how somebody of grace and dignity carries themselves, even when I really want to. You know, if somebody gets me to a point that I really want to fight them, like I've stayed too long in that toxicity. You know what I mean? I need to develop myself to be able to transcend my baser nature. That was normal to us, though. Like everybody fought, you know what I mean? If you had to, it wasn't like we were just brawling for nothing. It was like, oh, you go outside in the neighborhood and somebody like throws a basketball at your sister's face and then like doesn't say sorry and starts fighting with them. You go out and are like, what is going on? And they're like, I don't care. I threw the basketball. And then it's like, you know what? Okay, square up. You know what I mean? Like, and then y'all start brawling and it turns into a big rumble. It turns into a big rumble because then your siblings have to get involved. And, you know, the other neighborhood kids are like, oh my God, cheering it on. Maybe if somebody had beef with someone else, mind you, I'm talking about middle school. Okay, like that kind of time. But in high school, it was like people had learned by that time, don't start anything if you're not really willing to finish it. You know what I mean? If you're not willing to finish it, you better mind your business. So everybody, by the time we got to high school, for me at least, most people had chilled out. You know what I mean? Like I got into so many fights when I was in middle school because boys, particularly boys, and their little pick-me friends who were girls would like harass me and my best friend because we were quiet and we were neurodivergent and like we were experiencing abuse and trauma. And we were just very like, you know, we were very dark because we were the chosen ones, you know what I mean, in our family. So we carried that burden and, you know, just very discerning. We would rather get a trash bag full of books from the library and like, you know, sit at the library literally all day long. That was a good time to us rather than, I don't know what the other kids were doing, watching Disney Channel. Or going to the roller skating rink. I don't know what they were doing, but that's what we were doing. And I don't think that we probably would have cared so much what they were doing if if it wasn't like, if we weren't getting bullied about it, you feel me? So they thought that we would just take it lying down because we were nerds. We didn't take it lying down. We were being abused. We were taking on so much and like, okay, you want to go? You want to start shit? Fine. I've been waiting for an excuse to let this shit out on somebody and I couldn't do it at home. So let's go. And we would fight back and they would be so shocked and surprised. It's like, why are you shocked and surprised? But by the time we got to high school, it was like, they learned. You feel me? The only people who tried it after that were people who didn't know us. Like they didn't know us and they thought that they could start something. And I shared this story in my last live. Like my cousin and sister beat up this guy because he was harassing me and like bullying me one day in theater class. So, you know, that's how it was back then, you know, where I grew up. And I don't live my life like that. I'm somebody who, you know, like I'll pay for my nails to be really nicely done. I'll pay, you know, I've paid damn near $200 to get my nails how I wanted them to be. When you're doing that kind of thing because I love myself and I respect myself and that's what I want, that's how I wanted to present myself. When you are doing that kind of thing, you cannot afford, well, I couldn't afford to be going around and getting into about a fisticuffs with people. It's really never that deep. You also got to think like, I could go to jail. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to go to jail. I'm too pretty to get my face scratched up. You know what I mean? And I have scratches on my face from fights that I got into, usually when I was drunk. But I'm not that person anymore. I've developed wisdom over time. Just because that's how I grew up doesn't mean that's how I have to continue. You know what I mean? That's the karma that I inherited from the place where I was indoctrinated, the mindset that I was indoctrinated into because of other people's karma, not what they did in the past, what we were literally doing and seeing and existing in. You exist in karma. Me pounding my hand like this is karma. This is an action. That's what y'all don't understand. The thing is, a lot of y'all don't understand karma. It's not about what happened in the past. It's not about your past life. We are accruing karma at this very moment. It can be good karma. It can be bad karma. And it can be just whatever. You feel me? I pick up this card, the butterfly effect. Something's going to happen. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. And so for me, it's like, you know, I was indoctrinated into certain ways of thinking and being. And some of those things I value and have made me a better person. But a lot of those things are not good. I don't want to be that person who causes other people to feel the way that other people's actions made me feel. And it's so easy to replicate harm. We see this happen. We're seeing this happen in the Levant right now. We're seeing this happen in watermelon. You feel me? And I know what that was. What is the, you know, what is the result of this sort of thing? This is the stuff that has happened in my own country. My own ancestors had been enslaved in America. And when they were repatriated back to Liberia to become, to repatriate back to the continent, those same people who had experienced slavery went and instituted a system of oppressive hierarchy, and it brought with them anti-Indigenous elitism. I had to have a recognition and a realization one day that I was descended from colonizers and that I benefited from colonization and anti-indigeneity, despite the fact that, yes, I am half Indigenous. Okay, and I had to figure out, how am I going to reconcile this? That I'm not about to sit here and hang my head in shame and feel sorry all day long and feel guilty all day long. So I better figure out what I'm going to do. That's how I learned about atonement. You know, it was a blessing for me. I'm hearing Virgo season. It may have been Virgo season because I do think that Yom Kippur is during Virgo season. But I learned from Rabbi Danya Ruttenberg on Twitter back in the days. I don't remember when. It was like maybe like 2019, I want to say, but I know it was before that. It was like 2016, probably 2015, about the practice of atonement. And it's really crazy to me that atonement is in Judaism, but it's not at all though it is in the Bible, it's not at all taught to Christians, at least not Protestant Christians. I don't know about Catholics. And I don't know about Orthodox, but I grew up in the Methodist church and my dad is Baptist. And I really, really am into theology. Obviously, I've studied theology since I was in high school. And I never heard about anything about atonement in Christianity, because it's this idea that, oh, Jesus died for our sins, so we don't have to be responsible for the things that we've done. All I got to do is believe in Jesus and I can do whatever I want, basically. You know, and I know in Catholicism, you like do confession and they tell you, oh, do these Hail Marys, do this or do that, and you'll be okay. No, you got to live it. That's what karma is. It's your actions. So this is why we're talking about Mars too. This is where the Mars aspect of things is coming into play. Because, you know, I had to look at the way that when I first went to Liberia, my first time there, you know, we just partied the whole time. And it was really like I was living my party girl socialite dreams. And that's when I decided, like, this is what I was born to do, be a socialite and like be an international party girl. Well, I pursued that lifestyle and it took me to the brink of disaster. It took me to the brink of disaster a number of times. I almost died a number of times. I'm not kidding. I'm not being dramatic. And nobody knew that that was what was going on with me. Even the people who saw when I was really in the thick of my disease, substance use disorder, like they still didn't think that anything was really wrong with me. It was like, oh, you just need to learn how to drink. No. I kid you not. The things that I went through, that's not any small thing. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get into that in this video. I will talk about this in a video at another point in time, but it's not going to be today. The point is, though, like, that was not the life that I was supposed to be living. I was not in service to humanity. I was not in service to myself. You feel me? And certainly I was not in service to the people who my privilege comes at their expense. Another thing, I wasn't with my dad at that time. I was with my cousins. I was with my aunt and uncle staying up at their place. And so, you know, we were just enjoying Christmas holiday. We were just enjoying, you know, and my mom was like, you like it so much, you don't have to come back and finish. You could take a month off of your high school senior year and just do. I was like, no, I need to finish my senior project. Like, I gotta come back. But yeah, I was just there to enjoy. I really wasn't. But at that time, there was a riot in town. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but there was a riot and it was really scary. And we had to like race out of town. And, you know, I've talked about this before where I talked about, like, you know, a lot of my family members were unalived. Once again, I'm not going to get too deep into that. I will talk about that at a certain point, but not right now. But it is because of, you know, rebellion and revolution that happened in my country. And it was a powder keg because of corruption, because of elitism, because of that hierarchy that was created. And, you know, blood begets blood. You will pay with your pound of flesh. And guess what? If you don't pay, your loved ones will pay. And that's what happened. And that's the karma that my siblings, my cousins, and I inherited. You feel me? We didn't do that. But that's what we had to live. We had to live with those consequences. I learned my lesson. Why? Because my next time I went to live there, instead of just holiday, I went to live there with my dad. And my dad is somebody who taught me a lot about personal responsibility, despite the fact that, you know, despite the fact that he abandoned my siblings and I, he still did teach me a lot about personal responsibility, because that was a complicated situation. Not everything is black and white, but that's something that his family, that was really important. And understanding that we had to be in service to the indigenous Liberians. He is half indigenous. His mom is indigenous. His dad is Liberian. And that's the same for my mom, which is why I'm half indigenous. But this idea of, like, putting your privilege on the line which includes tithing, to be of service to the people that your comfort is, that the people that their pain affords you the comfort that you get to have. So, yeah, I saw so much suffering and it broke my heart. And it really changed I was 17 when that first happened. I think I was 18 when the next thing happened. And that changed the trajectory of my understanding of everything, absolutely everything. At the time, I was also taking sociology courses. I was taking like Intro to Women's Studies. And I continued on taking courses like that and confirmation burp, and learning these systems and these structures. And I realized like I have to do something. I started community organizing at a very young age, and it was just like when I was like in high school, because I was in so much pain and I didn't know what else to do to assuage the pain that I was experiencing. So I had to use my hands. I grew up in a church where service to the collective was really important. So like I said, there's things that I learned that were really good. And then there's things that I learned that were really bad. Because where I learned to party with my family. You feel me? And also from the media. You know what I mean? So what I did was I transmuted all of those things, and those things had to come together and go through this ego death at this alchemical chamber for me to develop the wisdom of how do I walk through life and have a good life, where my quality of life is, I'm not causing harm I'm causing the least harm that I possibly can. And I am doing my best to remedy any harm that I am causing, or that my mere existence just contributes to. You know what I mean? I can never take away the privilege that I have, and the oppression that I experience does not negate that by any stretch of the imagination. So I have to find how I can marry those things and walk through life in a way that I can be proud of. I'm walking in my integrity. I'm walking in the sunlight of the spirit. That's what it's talking about. You feel me? That's what this energy is about. So at this point, if you haven't already, this card here, After the Rain, is talking about that ego death. Some of us had to go through ego death after ego death after ego death, because if you're a chosen one, you are transmuting the karma of your bloodline. Point blank, period. And like I said, we're all transmuting the karma of the collective. Or, you may choose not to. You may choose not to, but you're gonna carry that karma with you all throughout your life, and also in your next life. So you may as well just get it done now. This is why I be looking at shit. It's like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to, because I know that on the other side, I'm not going to have to experience the suffering that is caused by that thing anymore. Like I said, I'm getting throat chakra clarification here. So it's a lot of saying things that need to be said and hearing what needs to be heard. I want y'all to open your ears and listen with an open heart, for the truth of the matter will be discerned by an open and loving heart. You understand? Even when people talk to you and you know that they're not living in the sunlight of the spirit, you will be able to see their heart, the true message of their essence coming out of them when you're not listening with your human ears, when you're not listening with your material ears and heart, but you're listening with your divine spirit, your divine, your spiritual ears, your spiritual heart. And you need to learn to see people that way. You don't need to have gifts to be able to see people that way. We're all children of God, period. It doesn't matter if you are higher ranking spiritually or lower ranking spiritually. We're all children of God. You feel me? And people may not, they may not live very good lives. They may be doing all kinds of stuff. But you got to see that for what it is. You got to see the forest for the trees. When people are like, I can't see the forest for the trees. See the forest for the trees and understand the systems that have people acting the way that they are. And also remember, for me, I know I can't fuck with certain people because you're causing me harm. I know that you are sick and suffering, but I can only have compassion for you when I'm away from you, because the way that you behave makes me want to kill you dead ass. And I get that way. You see, I'm talking about the darkness that I experienced. Yeah, folks know I'm a kind ass person, but there's a beast inside of me that is bloodthirsty and will rip you limb from limb. And it doesn't have to be physically, like it will be through the words. You feel me? Like I can do that. I can get to that place, but that's not right. And that's the Kali energy, Kali Ma. That's Saturn energy. That's the crone energy. It also has to do with Pluto. You feel me? Like, but you know, Kali was Durga, and none of the men could, none of the male deities could solve the demon problem on Earth. And so Kali was battling, I mean, Durga was battling this demon, 𝗪𝗁𝗪𝗲𝗪. I think his name was 𝗪𝗁𝗪𝗪. And she was battling him so hard. And it was like every time she cut him, his blood would drop onto the ground and he would create new demons from the blood. It was like a Hydra type situation. I feel like, yeah, anyway, I'm gonna keep going with this. Hit new blood. So she was like battling like crazy. And she was she was fighting so furiously and slaying all these demons. Word to Buffy. If you don't actually know the lore of the Slayer, the original Slayer was an Aboriginal woman who she herself, a demon came upon her, but it's not necessarily a demon. I think they said in the lore that it's a demon, but it may have just been like a ferocious spirit came upon her to kill, to counteract and counterbalance the newfound presence of vampires and these demons, these creatures of the night. Mind you, that means that there were not vampires did not first exist. They were made. They came to be. And that is how the line of the Slayer was created. And as we know, there wasn't just by the end. If you've never seen it, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. We know Buffy, but then we meet Tara. No. We meet, what is her name? Eliza Dushku's character, I'm forgetting what her name is right now. Faith. We meet Faith. And Buffy's like pissed off because it's like, how are there? I'm the Slayer. But it turns out, no, there are hella Slayers, which means there are hella chosen ones who are born to battle the forces of darkness. Not darkness, but evil, actually, because darkness is not evil. There are a ton of Slayers, and a bunch of them start getting awoken because of this like genesis of like serious evil comes to Earth, and all these girls start getting awoken, and they all come to Sunnyvale because that's where Buffy is. I think Buffy was like the first Slayer to be awoken in that timeline. But I don't remember if Faith and her got awoken, but I think that Buffy was the first. And so this is why there are a bunch of Watchers, Giles. You know, there's a bunch of them. It's not just one. It's not just Giles. You know what I mean? And so Kali, like, so these bloodlines, it's coming up to me as like, these are bloodlines. These are 𝗪𝗁𝗪𝗪𝗪's bloodlines that he created. This evil. There are vampires, know that much. Like, I'm like dead ass real vampires on this planet. Okay. Y'all may not know, but you know, when you see with your spiritual eyes and you listen with your spiritual ears and you are sensing with your spiritual sensuality, you will know that not everybody that you meet is a human being. Then some of them are divine and some of them are infernal. And not like, and they're demonic, really. So 𝗪𝗁𝗪𝗪, every time his blood drops on the ground, a new demon is formed. And so she's like, what do I do? From her forehead springs forth Kali. She becomes Kali. This is about consciousness. What's on your forehead, your third eye, your Ajna chakra, right? So Kali springs forth. This is the same way that I believe Athena was created. She springs forth from the head of Zeus. He gets a headache and he has Hephaestus mash his head open, and out comes Athena, the goddess of strategic warfare. She is the twin sister of Aries. Or no, is she the twin sister of Aries or the older sister? Either way, everybody hated Aries. None of the deities would even invite him to their parties because he would cause problems. You know, I'm hearing, don't start no stuff, won't be no stuff. But that's Aries. He would always go picking a fight. Even in scenes where he's supposed to be making love, he's wearing his sandals. He's ready for war at any time. Who wants to be in that energy? Nobody. So nobody liked him. He was lucky in war, but not in love. And the universe is love. So that's not a way that you want to be. Everybody loved Athena. Why? Because she was a goddess of wisdom. She was a goddess of strategic warfare. Okay, you can be fighting, but you can lack strategy, and that's why you will lose. You can battle ferociously, but you lack strategy. You will not win if your opponent is more cunning than you, which is the problem, because the adversary, Shaitan, is cunning, baffling, and depraved, willing to do whatever. That's the thing about it too. When people are wondering, like, oh, why are these people getting ahead? It's because they're depraved. They're willing to do things that you're not willing to do. That's really what it comes down. It doesn't have to do with them being better or more talented or whatever else. It comes down to the fact that they're more willing to stoop low than you are. And that's not like that. It's not a bad thing if you're not willing to stoop low. I'll tell you what, because remember, we're talking about living a spiritual life. You know what I mean? And that pays off. That pays off. Okay, it's hard work living a spiritual life. Just like they said on that Joey Badass song, that kid who was associated with the number 47, he says, until I heard hard work pays off, so tell the base God, don't quit your day job. I hear that song all the time lately. And I don't know why he said that, because Lil B was actually the shit. But then he says, it's like we've been content with losing. And that's a fact. You know, right now what's happening in the industry, there's a takedown going on. It's a serious takedown of people who are depraved and willing to just stoop low and do the most depraved, disgusting things that you can imagine. Even beyond what you can imagine. The things that we know that they're doing worse than that stuff. Okay? And it comes a time. So when you're hearing like all of these readers talking about what's happening in with Pluto and Aquarius, like this system is crumbling, this system is going down. This system is going down. And if you can't see it happening, it started before. I mean, even the Me Too movement is evidence of that. With Mr. So-and-so who had his little island, that is evidence that this is bigger than what's even just happening right now. This has been happening, and it's really coming into the public narrative where people can really not deny it anymore. But it's gonna go all the way up. You watch. So if you're not listening when people tell you to get ready and to batten down the hatches, I'm sorry, but it's a wrap for those people who are not willing to listen. But I know the collective that I read for, this is a collective, the meek shall inherit the earth. Okay? You stay 10 toes down in integrity, walking in the sunlight of the spirit. This is why you will get everything that you have been promised. That is the covenant of the ark, is what I'm hearing. Okay. So after the rain, y'all been through it for sure. We all been through it. That's true. We've been going through it, but because you were willing to sacrifice your ego, and remember, your ego, your personality, your ego, the character that you play, the roles that you fill in these timelines, in this life, in this incarnation, that has to do with your ego and allowing that version of you to die, which is what I was talking about with the transmutation. You know what I mean? Those narratives that you inherited. because all of it, you know, we live in context of everything else. We don't exist separately from society and from the collective. Even for there to be an individual, like, there is a presupposition of a collective. There cannot be an individual without there first being a collective. That can't exist. The concept of it, a singular human can exist in isolation, but that's unnatural because we are primates. We are we are Homo sapiens, you know, descended from primates, social animals. So you have to understand the context of how you exist. And that's what we talk about in cosmic wellness. When I was studying astronomy, you know, we found our place in the universe, talking about being in a solar system. Well, you think that the solar system is a big deal. Let's talk about our galaxy. Let's talk about our local cluster. I believe we're in the Virgo supercluster of galaxies, and that means that there are bigger superclusters. It goes on and on. LOL. That reminds me of a song that I'm not even going to get into right now, but I mean, it's coming up, right? I'm looking for the star maps. So we live on Earth, which exists within a solar system, which lives in a solar interstellar neighborhood in the Milky Way galaxy. And that belongs to a local galactic group. And our local galactic group exists within the Virgo supercluster. And the Virgo supercluster exists within our local supercluster. And that's all within the observable universe. This is stuff that I teach when I teach my spiritual abolition workshop, and when I teach my cosmic wellness workshops. I teach about this. We have to understand the context of our cosmic existence, because people are really, really all crossed up, as they said on I Think You Should Leave. People are all crossed up in terms of their understanding of their own existence. And you know, this also applies to our social existence on planet Earth. You know what I mean? And our collective existence in relation to the macrocosmic, larger collective, and also to our self and our community, our direct community. So what I'm hearing is your hometown. You got to get over that hometown energy, because if you identify yourself as being a prophet or a prophetess, whatever, I don't care. It's not about gender. If you identify yourself as being a prophet or a prophetess, and you need to understand, didn't the prophet Yeshua say a prophet is not essentially a prophet is not appreciated in their hometown? They can prophesy to everybody, but not their hometown and not their family. So he had to leave Nazareth in order to go, and he had to go to Kemet, and he had to go to Tibet, and he had to come and do all of that stuff and be lauded and appreciated and venerated before he could come back to Nazareth and start spreading the message there. And even then, they were just like, isn't that Mary's son, Mary and Joseph's son? Like, you feel me? But he went around and he did what he had to do. So yeah, he did what he had to do. And so then he became one of the most famous prophets to ever live. You feel me? On Earth, in this society that we live in. So I'm getting that, like, you gotta transcend that hometown energy. Whatever it is, that potion, that crab in a barrel mentality is what I'm hearing. You know, whatever it is, like, you probably already have done a lot of the work to transcend this. You probably already have done a lot of the work to get free, but you've been faced with a lot of tests and challenges. And because you've been showing up for them. It can even just be about mindset, how you approach things from like your state of mind, your understanding of how things should and shouldn't be, what you're willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with. You really stepped into your power. And for that reason, you are being allowed into the gates of heaven. Like I said in previous readings, and I did say, go back and watch my 2023 vernal equinox 3-part series, because it will tell you very clearly. Like, I have diagrams that I drew about it. We've been sitting waiting at the gates of heaven for them to open, because guess what? The walls of Jericho came down. The bugler blows, the walls of Jericho came down. And yes, that let in all these demons. We were those of us who, we did not stop. We didn't get caught up. We didn't fall down and just be like, I live here now. I've made this example before. That you got to get on your journey. You're being held in captivity. The space between captivity and home, the heavenly domain, what people call the kingdom of heaven, that is between there is the wilderness. And you got to go through the wilderness to get to the heavenly domain. And so you get out of captivity, you're running. You got other people running too. That's your soul family. They're running too. And some people, they will fall down. It starts raining and it's like, oh no, I can't. It's raining. Let me get inside of a tree. I'm gonna stay here. You feel me? I'm good. I got far enough. I'm good. Seriously. And then you have other people who it's like it's raining, they're still going, but then they get to a mountain. It's like, I'm not gonna climb this mountain. Then you got people who still climb the mountain, and it's like, oh, but they slip and fall in some mud, and they're just like, oh, I'm in this mud. I live here now. I'm a mud baby now. I'm done. I'm stuck here. And that's like, that when you get up that mountain, when you get out of the wilderness, we know 40 days and 40 nights being tormented in the wilderness. That shit makes me want to cry, because I've been through this. You feel me? Like, I've been through this, so I know. You feel me? Like, it's not anything for me to say like, oh, it's you just need to get up and go. No, I understand it's a really hard deal. I understand why people will, they'll get out in the rain. Then for some people, just to get out of captivity and stay in the wilderness is fine. I understand that. That's what I'm saying. You got to see and understand things from your spirit, from your essence, from your divine spark, because that's where the essence of you is. And that is where unconditional love is, and integrity, to understand, like, even though people are living a way that I may not agree with, they're doing that because of whatever they've been through. You know what I mean? The wilderness can make you like that. It can turn you into a savage. Being in captivity can turn you into a savage. We know this. This is why solitary confinement is inhumane. We know all of this, right? So I understand from unconditional love that, people do what they do. But this is why I got to tell you, it doesn't matter. I can understand that, but I have to tell you what the truth is. That's what integrity is about. And that's another part of unconditional love, because people who don't love you will let you fuck around and find out. But people who love you will tell you, yo, you're fucking around. You feel me? When I was out there ripping and running and ruining my life, I'm telling you, like, I'm not going to get into the depth of the things that happened to me when I was out there in my disease. It wasn't just substance use disorder. I had undiagnosed. Well, it was diagnosed actually, but I had untreated ADHD and autism spectrum disorder, and I had CPTSD. You feel me? And I was still engaging with my abusers. So it was all of those things. You feel me? I understand what it's like to be in captivity and then to be in the wilderness, because I consider the time when I left my family's home and I left my hometown and I found safety and safe haven in the city. And I was in the wilderness the whole time. And I was really trying to find my way back home, but I didn't know how. You know what? And that's the miracle, is that, my higher power, my ancestors, angels, and spirit guides, they were always riding for me. They were always there, because like I said, I almost died. I swear to God, like there were times like angels sent someone to my door to like come and get me, and I missed an appointment or something. And like my RA, this was when I was 18. My RA came to my door to knock on my door to find out where I was at. And I had accidentally overdosed on psych meds. And that's a complicated story, but I'm not going to get into that because I feel like that's maybe more of something to talk about, like on a membership tier. That is a story that is more so for people who are, I used to say when I identified as a witch, I'm a witch's witch. I'm not for the weak of mind and spirit. If you don't believe in magic and spirits and shit, I'm really not the person for you to be listening to. But I knew that angels were upon her and came, and I told her what had happened. I had taken too much of my medication that I had been prescribed, and she immediately called 911. Paramedics came, got me to the hospital. You know what I mean? And I was able to be in that time. I will say this much. It was not on purpose. In that time, I had just started developing my psionic capabilities I had just gone through an awakening. I didn't know how to deal with them. And this is why it's so bad for people who have abilities and their families, or people, we've just lost these traditions where it was like, you would have been taught how to do these things. You go and you get initiated. In my country, you get initiated into the 𝗧𝗵𝗿𝗲 or the 𝗺𝗺, and you will be taught and you will be trained. You get initiated into the priesthoods and the priestesshoods, and you will be taught and trained so that these malevolent spirits can't trick you and attack you. But the deceiver was waiting for me and tried to trick me into unaliving myself by basically just being like, that's not what's going to happen. Like, I'm not going to get too deep into that. And even this, I feel like, is too complicated, but somebody needs to hear it because I talk about this a lot. I don't think I've ever shared that story publicly, but I talk about this a lot. And how I know about spiritual psychosis is like, when I started going through that awakening, thankfully, I went and lived with my dad, and my dad told me, everything that you're experiencing is normal. This is what happens to our family. You're 18 now. This is what happens. But you cannot use substances or you will fall. And I was 18. It took me until I was 24 to stop drinking and 25 to stop using psychedelics. Because I just that's all I knew how to do to treat my trauma and to treat the pain that I was experiencing. You know what I mean? This is the shamanic journey for a lot of people. You got to understand. So when people are like, oh, how do you know how to discern spiritual psychosis from awakening? I know firsthand how to, and that's why I can walk people through that. That's why I can see the differences. You feel me? I know firsthand how to do that. But certain awakenings that I went through, like last year, I was talking to somebody at the time. They are also Liberian, and I was being attacked spiritually, demonically. It was really, really, really bad. And it is beyond that experience. Anyway, and they were like, yeah, I was like, the thing is, I am alone. I am scared because I'm alone. I have to just be here by myself, going through this 24/7. And he was like, yeah, if you were back home, the women in the 𝗧𝗵𝗿𝗲 would have taken you into the bush and they would have just taken care of you. Because going through that shit and having to work a day job, you know what I mean? And have to feed myself and also do my career and my businesses so that I can make money because my day job was not paying me enough. You feel me? That is a special kind of abuse that the colony exacts upon us so that we won't be able to develop the way that we're supposed to develop. But it was like, they'd take you into the bush and they would take care of you and they would do the things necessary for you to come out on the other side. I had to do all that shit. I was working with shamans. I was working with multiple shamans back home and non-African shamans as well. And, my spirit team was always with me. My ancestors were very present at that time. I started working with my family gods and pouring libations and things like this. But even at that time, they were trying to get me to destroy my altar. Like, I ended up having to like, I had to learn how to like, you know, seal all of my windows and my mirrors and like all of my screens and shit, because that's part of how they were getting in. You know what I mean? Because mirrors are portals. That's what we believe in my culture. Argue with somebody else and do not dare come here and be anti-Indigenous, because I will eviscerate you and I will use big words that you don't understand and you will be humiliated. The point is, you know, we're not supposed to exist in a vacuum when we do these healings. And when we go through this shit, I didn't. My spirit team was with me that whole time. So I'm telling you this, I'm saying this shit. And this is why I get fired up. One, I'm a dragon. Two, I know what it's like firsthand. And I loved myself so much. And I had my spirit team on me and they were like, I was just like, I don't want to be alive anymore. I don't want to deal with this. And they were just like, yeah, but you got to. So what are you going to do? You're not going to kill yourself. So what are you going to do? And I was like, I guess I'm going to keep going. And they were like, yup. And my life did get better. You feel me? I did get my money up. I did get sober. I did get out of the abusive relationship dynamics that I was in. You know what I mean? And outside of getting my money up, I can be experiencing all kinds of material hardships. And my life is still better, even than the times that I had money coming in like crazy, because I have my sovereignty. And it was a battle for my soul. It was a battle for my spirit. It was a battle for my essence, because that's what they want to take from you. It's not about money. It's not about material gold. It's the gold inside your spirit. So for those of you who, you know, you think about those stories of like, what is it called? You know, extraterrestrials or whatever, and they're here coming for gold. It's not just like AU gold that they're looking for, material gold that they're looking for. Understand that much. There's gold in your spirit. There's gold within. I met this guy, Kamal, at a party in London, in South Deptford, the New Year, January 1st, 2020. And that was a really big day. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I've talked about it before. And he was talking to me, and he was an insider, but he was telling me, like, I drink colloidal gold. Like, I'm telling you, I have gold in my body. I drink gold. But we're talking about, you know, the gold thread. Those of us who are of a lineage where you might be of this lineage, if you identify as being she, 𝗕liche, you might be Celtic, you might be, you know, descended from Iraq, Iran, like Mesopotamia, Sumeria. You might be like Babylonian descent. You might be Vedic. You might be, you know, descended from Kemet, and that means also my Sudanese people, you know, people from Kush and Nubia. I myself, if you are sub-Saharan African, the Gold Coast, if you're from the Gold Coast, my ancestors fled from the area that was Kemet. They fled from there to escape being enslaved down to where now the Vie tribe, the 𝗪𝗎𝗄 tribe, where we exist. That's Cote d'Ivoire, that's Liberia, that's Sierra Leone. You know what I mean? These Mande people, they fled from there. So you might also be from there. This is why you got to know, people from your soul tribe might not look like you. They might not look like you, but what y'all don't know is that's your family. So those who are of that golden thread lineage, y'all are the ones, some of the ones that I'm talking to right now, and that I'm talking about right now. You got to know, like, if the adversary is really coming hard for you, it's 𝗵𝗡. Y'all can look up 𝗵𝗡, but you got what's it called on you? When you got a lot of energy vampires flocking to you, you got a lot of people who are being ridden by demons. Like Frank Ocean said, demons try to body jump. I swear to you, something's going to happen with Frank Ocean really soon. Something's going to happen with Frank Ocean really soon. But, you know, demons try to body jump. They are possessed. And you got people out here just casting curses and spells. They don't even know what they're doing, you know, because they're indoctrinated or they've been mounted because they are not grounded. They are in a state of psychosis. You feel me? And it's very unsafe. You need to be careful. You might be of that golden thread lineage that I was talking about. And you need to keep yourself safe. I'm seeing a star. I'm actually seeing a pentagram. And it was pointing towards like the left. So that means like it's pointing towards the west. But like I said, like I've been through it firsthand. I know people who really love you. And when I was really ripping and running, nobody, like, first of all, a lot of people couldn't see how bad it was because they themselves were sick. But also a lot of people just really didn't give a fuck about me enough to actually do anything. You feel me? They didn't give a fuck about me enough to say something to me about it. I thought these people were my friends. They were not my friends. They did not love and care about me enough to say anything. One person I knew, actually two. This one girl was like, well, V, like, you need to get it together because you keep getting into trouble. Like, I know that, like, I get into, like, I'll, like, drink hella and black out, but I don't get into trouble. You get into trouble. Like, maybe you need to stop drinking. I had another friend who I was taking a lot of MDMA at the time, and I just kept complaining about being super depressed. And she's like, well, V, you're taking MDMA like every other weekend or every weekend. Like, have you considered that maybe that's why you're depressed? The people that I was 20. I had just turned 20 at that time. I didn't know any better. And like I said, I came from partying. In my family and my culture, we partied hard. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying this stuff out my ass. I can't make this shit up. This is stuff that I lived through it. This is my experience. You feel me? So it's not like, oh, well, it's easy for you to say. No, it's not easy for me to say. And it wasn't easy for me to say. You don't know what I had to go through to get it up out the mud. But like I said, I got it up out the mud. I know some people, they'll get out of captivity. They'll sit right there. That's fine for them. That's cool. Do what you got to do. You feel me? But don't be back there screaming at me and trying to make me fall short of where I gotta go. Then you got people, they get to the forest. It's fine. It's raining. I'm gonna just live in the trees. But you know that you got a home to get back to. You got somebody, they get up to the foot of the mountain. They're not willing to go up the mountain. You got somebody who they fall down in the mud. They're not gonna get up out the mud because they're tired. You feel me? But you know, it is a covenant promise. You know that there is a palace, a home, heart and home. So you might want to check out your fourth house. When we look at the chart, we'll look at the fourth house. Heart and home, this might have to do with Cancer. You want to look at your moon sign. Your moon sign, you need to do shadow work on your moon sign. There's things that have to do with your moon sign that if you look into it, you're going to see these things that you've been afraid. You've been hiding these things in the darkness. And it's time for it to come to the sunlight of the spirit. It's the shit that you got to say. You got to speak it out of your mouth. Like I said, throat chakra stuff. I said shit in this reading that I have never, ever said in public before. People have known me for a long time. They don't know me, though. This is why I say, folks think that they know me. You knew me for how long? You don't know me, though. So don't ever think that you know me, because there's hella shit that people didn't hear me talk about, certain very important things that happened in my life. They know me since I was basically a kid until, like, you know, I literally never said that shit for 7 years. I literally never talked about my grand awakening story, my first initiation, because, like I said, I am of a certain bloodline. I'm actually of multiple different bloodlines, shamans, priesthoods on both sides. I never talked about my initiation story for 7 years. After it happened. It wasn't until 7 years later that I started talking about it. This shit I said in this live, I don't talk about these things. So there's big time throat chakra clearing, and you got to let it happen. Stop being afraid. Stop being ashamed. What you got inside of you, your story is what you use to help people. The wisdom that you develop, that's what you use to help people. That is the true wealth. And y'all got to stop being afraid of that shit. What you've been through, that darkness. Like I said, that ferocious monster. I'm going to come back to that. Y'all thought I forgot about what I was saying. I never forget. It seems that I'm meandering off onto a different road. No. There is no road. We're up here vibing in the 6D, babes. There is no road. All paths lead to one place. Okay? So understand that. This is what, people, the Mondians believed in. We all have the divine spark in us, leading us home, leading us to that divine, sacred, heavenly domain. And eventually we will all get there in our own time. So I know that that person who stopped at the gate, who stopped as soon as they got out of captivity, the person who's in the trees, the person at the foot of the mountain, I know that one day they're going to make it home. They got to figure out what it is they got to figure out. I don't know what gives them, actually I do know a spiritual rank has a lot to do with it. You got to go through your lessons to get to the blessings. And the blessings really are the wisdom. That's what you take through lifetime to lifetime. So you don't have to go through certain things once you already been through it. You feel me? You got to understand that. I know those people are eventually going to get to where they need to go, so I don't need to sit there and hate on them. What I really need to do is I got to pray for them. As one of my favorite readers on here, 𝗧𝗵𝗿𝗲𝗍 says, even on hold no weight. So I don't need to be up in arms, which I used to be. I woke up this morning remembering how I used to walk through the ethers heavy with my armor on me. Everything felt like a fucking battle, bro. And now when I look back on that, I just be like, I don't feel ashamed per se. There was a time when I felt ashamed, but it's really not about shame. It's I feel sorry for that version of me, but they had to go from being Eris to Athena. They had to go from being the divine feminine counterpart of Aries, Eris, goddess of chaos, to being the goddess of strategic warfare and wisdom. And I believe the hunt. But you don't do that until you go through it and you develop that wisdom. They got to go through what they got to go through. And yes, they may be out there casting spells, throwing hate, talking shit. They're of a lower rank. Does it matter? It don't matter. If you know that you're blessed up, that shit can't touch you, really. What little it can do to you, you feel me? Do you have your protections up? Are you walking with your protections? Are you praying? Are you pouring your libations? Are you cleansing? That's what you got to ask yourself. But when you're not, you're susceptible to these low vibrational energies getting on you. Okay? They come in and they take what they want. It's not theirs. They can't take it. You got to give it to them. And also, you can't give it away because it's God's. All of this is just lore. All of this is just narrative. Fuck out of here with that shit. You feel me? When you get to the higher dimensions, none of that shit is real. It's just the universe experiencing itself over and over. I know it feels real because it really happened to you. But it doesn't have to. Okay? Oh, and I'm hearing Rick Ross, haters talking never made me that mad. Never that not when I'm in my favorite paper tag. So of course he's talking about I don't care. I got money. I'm in my designer, whatever. But for me, it's really you can lose all that shit. Do you have God at the end of the day? Do you have your dignity? Do you have your sovereignty? Because it's really I didn't have money. I really didn't have money. For the most part, I got all my clothes at the thrift store for the most part. There were times in my life when I had to steal food to eat. You feel me? Dead ass. And still, people were hating on me. People were mad jealous of Vie Darling. People would be like, oh, you never had to go through it. You're not from the hood. It's you don't know where I'm from or what I've been through. You feel me? You know what? It wasn't even about my looks either, because the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of people who, I'm not going to say people who are better looking than me, but I mean, it's not about the looks. It's really not. It's about my anointing. People sense that anointing and that relationship to God, and they sense the sovereignty and what they want. Misery loves company. They want to get you out of your sovereignty. You'll notice a lot of the time, these people, you can be like, oh, Yeah, I'm trying to not drink or whatever. Somebody told me this. They told their friend they were trying to quit smoking weed, and their friend said, "That's stupid." What's stupid about that? If you didn't have a demon on you, you would be like, okay, that's good for you. You got it. They might still continue to do what they want to do, but they're not going to tell you that it's stupid and try to get you to do something that you are feeling like your ancestors told you if you continue doing that, you're going to die. They're going to tell you it's stupid. That's crazy. When you be out and you're like, oh, I'm not drinking actually, like I really got to cut back. I got into a lot of crazy shit, went down last weekend. And people will be like, oh, really? You sure? No, come on. It's fine. Let's do some shots. I got you. And for me, I was not one to pass up a free drink. So, or it's like, oh, there's going to be an open bar. You feel me? Like, those are the people that you need to watch out for, and you need to stop fucking with them because that's the enemy on them. And you're out there in the wilderness, and these people, they can be mounted. They can be mounted, and you got to get away from them. Period. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't matter. People, places, and things. This is why I'm saying that hometown energy, a lot of the time, it's a trauma bond with these people. Like, y'all fuck with one another. You think that y'all fuck with one another because y'all had similar experiences and you can relate to them on that. But I had this friend, right? And everything that all of our friendship was really predicated upon our trauma bond. This girl, like, really did not respect me. Like, she was just using me is what I feel like. And, when I first quit drinking, she was like, she knew this, and she got this big bottle of Ciroc when I went to LA for a conference. And she was like, I got this for you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You didn't get that from me. I told you I don't drink anymore. She was like, what? But it's for you. Like, I thought that we were going to party. And I was like, I told you I don't drink. Why would you get that? Not only did I tell you I don't drink, so like you can drink, you got that for you. But like at that point in time, it was hella triggering for me because I had only quit drinking for maybe 6 months at that point. So that was not my friend. And there were a lot of other things that she did that were hella disrespectful. She would talk over me. She did not respect the fact that I was lactose intolerant. Like, things that were really important. And I'd be telling her something that was important going on with me. And she would be like, basically, oh, it's not important. That girl, that was not my friend, but we had our upbringings, our childhoods were similar. So we could talk about that and she wouldn't feel like we would just trauma dump, you know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, and we had similar values, I guess you could say, in a way, it seemed like, because we both grew up in the South. She grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in Maryland. But yeah, I stopped fucking with her. She was mad. She was big mad when I stopped fucking with her. But it's like, you don't respect me. And also you're a detriment to my well-being because you don't respect me. What if I had relapsed at that time? You feel me? Because you don't respect me. You want to do what you want to do. Forcing me to go to all these places. I'm on holiday visiting. I wasn't actually on holiday. I was there for a conference, but I went early and I was visiting. And it's like, at that point, I don't think I had been, I think that was my first time to LA. Like, and I want to do what I want to do. And you're just forcing me to do what you want to do. You don't even care about my preferences. And it's not about preferences. It's about keeping myself safe. And what I came to realize is any relationship that is built on a trauma bond, that's not a solid foundation, because that is, that's something that you want to get rid of. You don't want to live in trauma forever. So you can't build a relationship built on trauma, period. So all those relationships will always crumble. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. Whether or not you have religious trauma, which I do as a queer Black person, growing up in the Methodist church and an immigrant in a church that was very, very actually covertly racist, I have a lot of religious trauma. So think about it as Christ consciousness if you want to. On that Christ consciousness, that's the solid rock, not the trauma, not the shadow. You're supposed to be transmuting that shit. So how are you going to have a stable, you wonder why, oh, I'm having so many tower moments. You're having so many tower moments because all that shit was built on shadow. How's a shadow, smoke and shadow, supposed to be a solid foundation for a structure? No. For your empire? No. For your domain? No. That you're the sovereign of. It's not going to happen. On Christ, the solid rock. That's unconditional love and unconditional integrity. So if your relationship is not built on that, it's not going to last, period. You better just know that much. You've been going through these tower moments, family. And you fell in the mud, but you got your ass up because you knew that there was a warm, comforting home that was full of love and built on a solid foundation, where your soul tribe was waiting for you, where the divine mother and the divine father were waiting for you. Unconditional love filled that home, waiting for you. There was a hot bath waiting for you. There was a fresh set of clothes waiting for you, a warm bed with a comforter, a hot meal, your favorite meal, waiting for you. And people that you knew that you had somehow, I known y'all my whole life. I've been looking for y'all my whole life. I finally found you. Are you going to deny yourself? Are you going to deprive yourself of the experience of that? Because you fell down in the mud. I'm sorry, all the shit that I've been through when I was in captivity, all the shit that I've been through when I was in the wilderness, I deserve to make it back home. And nobody can give that but me, because I have free will. That's my karma. That's my karma. So you can have good karma coming to you. And for a lot of you, you got some real fucking good karma coming to you, because we made it all the way back home. And the gates are opening up. The gates are opening up with this new moon in Taurus. In Taurus, family. Okay, when like... And then we have 𝗧𝗵𝗿 coming up next week. On the 13th, the Sun and Uranus in Taurus are going to have 𝗧𝗵𝗿. And when Jupiter gets to Gemini, like this month is going to be crazy. May is going to be crazy. Confirmation burp. It's a Kanye West song, from the something to the something. You arrive when you make it up. Good morning. La, 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 la. I can't sing right now because my throat chakra is purging hella. You have no idea. I have so much so much mucus in my, purging out of my throat right now as I do this. Good morning, lyrics. He says, good morning. On this day we become legendary. Everything we dreamed of. I'm like fly Malcolm X, buy any jeans necessary. Detroit red, clean up. From the streets to the league, from a Nate to a key. But you graduate when you make it up out of the streets. From the moments of pain. Look how far we done came. Haters saying you changed. Now you doing your thing. Good morning. Exactly. Hustlers, that's if you still living, get on down. Every time that we hear them, good morning. It's the morning. It says after the rain, silver lining, relief, hope, mercy. It's over acceptance, family. The streets, that's the wilderness. But sometimes it's like, oh, you got Hollywood, you're not street no more, da, 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 da. You're not doing what you used to do, so that's a problem. No, you got to grow up sometimes. You got to stop getting into fistfights sometimes. You mature and you develop an understanding like, oh, those boys actually just liked us and realized that we were unattainable and they were immature children. And that's why they were bullying us. And also probably racism. It wasn't really xenophobia because we were all immigrants. For the most part, like it was, yeah, my best friend was white, but she was like Russian. But most of those boys who were picking on us were also immigrants. Like they were mostly boys of color. It was we just really didn't interact with white Americans. We just really didn't at all. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that like anti-Blackness plays some role in it, but it was mainly misogyny. You know, more than anything, it definitely probably had to do with classism. But even my friend, when we got to like senior year, she was like, you know, that those boys just like liked you. Like they just liked us. And they didn't know how to deal with that. It doesn't make it okay, but it is what it is. And I say that to say, like, you know, I was a kid, so I did what a kid, I was a child, so I did as a child does, but now I'm a grown ass adult. You know, I can't be doing that shit anymore. You feel me? If I see a man or a person, I'm pansexual. If I see a person try to approach me on some dumb shit and they're like, oh, like on some childish shit, you feel me? Negging me, you know what I mean? Trying to breadcrumb me, trying to play mind games. That's cool, homie. Do your thing. Like, but you're not ever gonna see me. Like, you're never gonna see me again. Talk your shit, do what you gotta do, but it's not gonna be over here. You feel me? I feel bad for you. You gotta grow up. You missed out. You fumbled. You dropped the bag. You fumbled the bag. You feel me? You dropped the ball. So that's sad for you. But when I was a child, I didn't have that comprehension. So, you know, it's about growing up and it's about spiritual and emotional maturation and like developing into a place of wisdom. And that's the hero's journey, going from being the fool to the emperor and experiencing moksha with the world card as the end of the major arcana. So it's gems on gems on gems, babes. But you know I got all that shit waiting for me at the top of this mountain. So I can't stop because I deserve that. I didn't go through all that shit for nothing. I'm finna get it. So for some of you, like, it's like an understanding, like, you gotta die multiple deaths. You live multiple lifetimes in one because you are really going through levels of karma that most people only go through like these lessons one time, but you're bodying lesson after lesson after lesson, lifetime after lifetime. You feel me? So that you can get what you deserve, because God is working through you to create on earth something that's never been seen before. So you have to transcend all of the karma of your bloodline. That was your job, family. Chosen ones, 144,000. That's what I'm talking to right now. Plant yourself here came out in the reverse. Integration, embodiment, grounded action. You're being taken from in the wilderness. So we were sitting on the top of the mountain waiting to be picked up, family. That's really what it was. And now we're going, okay? We get the wastelands in reverse. Sustainability, slow down, tend your garden. In reverse. So all that shit is over. You're not going to be stuck anymore. You're not going to be in the wilderness anymore. You're not in captivity anymore. Okay. That shit is over. We've been through that. That season is done. It's really time. You got to walk in your sovereignty now. So I think I said it. Kali was born. Yeah, I think I finished up with that. So Kali defeated 𝗪𝗔𝗕𝗄𝗃. And unfortunately, what happened with her is she became accustomed to the taste of blood in that ferocity, and she went on a rampage and she caused much destruction upon the earth. And the only way that she could be stopped, this is Sekhmet as well. The only way that they could be stopped, her consort, Shiva is the consort of Kali. And he laid down on the ground. So she stepped on him, and she stepped on him. Essentially, the idea is that she killed him. And that was the only way that she saw the destruction that she was wreaking. And that's why her tongue is out, because she's embarrassed by stepping on her counterpart. In the story of Sekhmet, she is the daughter of Ra, I believe, Amun-Ra. She's the daughter of the sun. And she's a derivative of Hathor. So you have to understand Kali is a derivative of Shakti as well. She descends down the mortal coil from Durga down to be Kali. And then she goes back as Kali Ma. She is about rebirth and regeneration. She is a mother deity. And she is an embodiment of the darkness. This has to do with Tiamat. Dragons, all my seraphim, my earth angel family. I'm seeing flames. I'm seeing flames here, flaming swords. A sword. Swords has to do with the mind, the mental faculties. Swords have to do with words as well. So flaming words, your words are burning down these structures. You gotta speak your truth, family. You gotta speak the truth. Just walk in your integrity. You must. Okay. So you see there's a rainbow on this card because that is the covenant. I'm seeing a dove as well. And Sekhmet was Hathor. She came down to earth to rid the earth of corruption. And same thing, she became bloodthirsty from her taste of blood. And I don't know if it was Ra, or I don't remember who it was, but they had to stop her. So they filled a river with beer and red dye so that she thought it was blood. And she got drunk and she finally went to sleep and she calmed down. Yeah, you may have even had fallings out with your soul family. But that was because that was part of both of y'all's karmic lesson. So if you are holding on to this idea of righteousness, you need to say sorry. You need to say sorry for your part. Right now, the past week or so, I just been thinking about things where I did feel righteous, but at the same time, I just been letting it go and been like, you know what? I'm sorry, because you're right. It was fucked up. I did what I did because you did what you did, but I didn't have to go that hard. I didn't have to say that. You know what I mean? I had a friend who, I'm not going to get into that. Spirit doesn't want me to get into that, but I said something. Basically, they're a reflection of me, and I was projecting onto them, and I realized that they weren't who I thought they were, but I also developed into that person. We were both on that same journey. And I basically was just like, when we first met, because they were so nice, I thought that they were like, not that they were stupid, but they were naive, and they were dumb. They were dumb. Like they were gonna be basically they could be taken advantage of. They were green, basically. Not at all that I thought that they were stupid, but just like, you're too nice. And this is a very New York thing too. It's like, you're too nice. People are going to take advantage of you. You gotta get your street smarts up, basically. And I think that our mutual quote unquote friend, we all worked together. I think that she told her this. And it's like, why would you tell her that I said that? Like, it's not like I was saying she's an idiot right now. No, I said, when I first met her, but then I was like, well, something, I think that a lot of people think and thought that I was dumb. And she was like, no, I don't think anyone thinks that about you. And it's like, no, they definitely do, because I'm a beautiful femme. And because I was very nice, because of a trauma response, they thought that they could walk all over me and that I didn't see what they were doing and that they could take advantage of me and manipulate me because they thought that I was dumb. And she thought I meant in terms of intelligence. That's not what I was talking about. That girl knows what I mean. She knows what I mean, but like, she felt a type of way. And I was just like, that's not what I meant though. So like, I don't understand why you're mad about that. I don't think that that's why you're mad, actually. I think that you're mad because you were deep down intimidated by the level of integrity that I had gotten to when I started to realize things about my community of origin, and I wasn't having it. I wasn't standing for it. And, it has to do with the privilege that I talked about. I wasn't standing for it. And that you have to do that work and you feel uncomfortable. And I'm not going to give you the validation that you want. You got to do that work. And so you're acting mad weird. You're looking for an out. You're looking for an excuse to like be mad at me because you resent me for what I'm reflecting back to you. But also, I probably shouldn't have said that to that other girl. I'm sorry, I have autism. I didn't think that it was that bad of a thing to say, but I understand that it's a hurtful thing, like it's a hurtful thing to say, especially if you don't understand that I didn't mean intellectually you're an idiot. Like, I read it as like, oh, this person's gonna get taken for a ride type shit. So, but I sat there and I thought about it. So, you know, like, actually, that I'll take accountability for my side of the street. I didn't have to say that. You know what I mean? I didn't think that through. And I had to learn some things you are better like kept to yourself. You feel me? That's the type of shit that folks need to be on right now. You need to understand, like, you know, you may feel like you're right and you're righteous, but whatever there is that you got to take accountability for, you got to take accountability. Even if it's like, yo, like, you tell somebody the truth about something and you do in a kind, loving, and compassionate way. If their feelings are hurt, that's their problem. You tell somebody the truth about something and you know that they can't handle it. Sometimes I don't be telling people shit, because I'm not going to be responsible for your ego death anymore. I'm not willing to take that karma on. That's not my job. You're going to find that shit out. I don't need to tell everybody everything that I see anymore. You feel me? You're going to figure that shit out the hard way, because I can sense in certain people. In my culture, we say, if you can't hear, you will feel. Some people, you can tell that they're not going to listen when you tell them something. They got to learn for themselves. I also had to be that way. I was hard-headed as fuck. And I had to learn my lesson, you know? So I'm not here to tell people shit anymore. You get a few tries, it's done. It's a wrap. Sorry. Like, I can't have a liability around me. I got to protect myself. I've been through a lot. So, you know, like I said, all those trauma bonds, you see me glowing up and growing up, and you don't take that as like, oh, let me also glow up and grow up. That's on you. Like, grow up and glow up. Stop sitting around fooling around. But you can't be mad if you decide to sit at the gate and your homie makes it to heaven, to the heavenly domain. They make it up the mountain. You can't be mad at them for that. In fact, you got to sit there and you got to be like, you know what, good for them. In fact, I see the way that they did that, and I'm gonna take that too. I'm gonna get it up out the mud. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do it. You feel me? But don't sit back there hating. That's what a lot of people like to do. And that's also a message for some people. Karmics, you sitting around hating on people who move forward because you didn't move forward. Who you're really mad at is yourself. That's who you're really mad at. You got to figure that shit out and stop making other people accountable for your happiness. You're not happy because of your actions. Listen, people run away from home and they would be willing to rather live on the streets. There are times, you know, I had to live on my friend's floor. There were times I had to live on my friend's floor because I would rather do that than go back to my mother's house where I was being abused. This lady tried to unalive me. Like, no fucking cap. Like, she really did. That's not a joke. And at that point, I decided I would rather be houseless or transient than ever live with this lady ever again. I didn't have a home to return to. You feel me? So I'm not somebody, like, I don't accept excuses anymore. I used to make excuses for people. That was a trauma response. I don't accept excuses. It's no beef, but, you know, I got to take care of me because nobody else is going to do it. You feel me? So this is the wisdom that has been incurred, and that's all that I have in terms of like the general overall reading. At this point, it's an hour and 38 minutes in. I do want to get cards for the different sectors. So we're going to do that. We're going to get a card for yeah, let me just use the tarot because that's actually going to be that's actually going to be easier than using oracle cards, I think. Oops, these just fell out the back. So we're going to get a card for social life, professional life and money, and romantic life. Okay. That's what we're going to do. And usually what I used to do is I would like do the different decks for the different ones, but I'm actually just going to keep it, I think, to one deck. Spirit, is that what you're trying to say? I don't know where that deck is. Oh, it's in here. Spirit, what do you want me to do? You want me to do the different decks? Okay, yeah, they want me to do different decks. So, what I want to share is on the 5th, we have Jupiter moving to 25 degrees of Taurus, a vast public park, the cultivation of natural energies for collective and use and recreation, collective enjoyment. So yes, the collective is coming into a much more resonant place. You are you're coming into a much more resonant place, and you're going to learn how to manifest your desires. On the 10th, Jupiter is going to move to 26 degrees, and a Spanish gallant serenades his beloved, the ritualization of individual desires, role playing. And I do feel like this is like you finally stepping into your abundance, because this is Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, bitch? When Jupiter gets to Gemini, it's going to be off to the races, on and popping type shit. You know what I mean? The abundance, the manifestation of all that you've been promised. I know, like for me, like, you know, readers might kept telling you, oh, it's coming, you're getting so much, and you've been like, where is it? Why is it taking so long? It's because Jupiter was in Taurus. When Jupiter gets into Gemini later this month, like it's gonna be some real shit. It's gonna be some real shit. Okay, so on the 6th, we have the moon entering Taurus and Saturn moving to Pisces at 17 degrees. That is about subjective strength, reliance upon one's inner source or of inspiration or guidance. The 7th, we have a lot going on. We have Mercury, Aries, conjunct Chiron in Aries. So this is going to bring a lot of healing, and you're going to be doing things that you got to do and communicating what you have to communicate in order for you to absolve that karma. Yeah, I always see this as like inner child stuff, like what you need, what fears you developed in childhood, like transcending that. Do it scared. I know people are like tired of hearing that, but I used to tell myself back in 2016, I started doing this practice of like, I would tell myself, do 3 things that you're afraid of every day. And some of those things would be like, if somebody was like cutting me in line, for me to be like, hey, excuse me, I actually was in front of you. The line is back there. That would cause me, I was afraid to do that. That would cause me so much stress and so much fear. I would be so scared. And now I can do that shit. When I was with my ex-best friend, the Russian, we were in the grocery store. She was on some other shit, to be honest, but like I would pass people and I'd be like, excuse me, and like just move past them, and she'd be like, how are you doing that? Mind you, when we were younger, she was the one who would beat up all of our enemies. She's a feisty ass person. She's Russian. So she was on some other shit. She was not being her true self at that time, but she was like she's like, how are you doing that? Like I get so like, she didn't want to say excuse me to people, just like be walking slow behind them and be mad and shit. And I was like, there's nothing, like, what are they going to do? There's nothing wrong with saying excuse me and getting around an obstacle. You feel me? But the thing is, I have been training myself since 2016, 2015 maybe. Yeah, 2015 to do that. And now I have no problem doing that because I trained myself to do it. Okay, you might want to also listen to subliminals for like getting over fear. You might want to listen to subliminals for your self-concept if that is something that you really need help with. The sun in Taurus is going to be sextile Saturn and Pisces, which, as I said, is going to be at 17 degrees. This is about participation in collective peak experiences, the capacity inherent in all great socio-cultural images to unite the members of a community in a display of excellence in Easter parade. So we're all going to be able to get behind something. And it's going to be about collective liberation. It might be very polarizing, but it is going to be something that we are all going to be able to get behind, participation in. It's going to be very memorable. Capacity inherent in all great sociocultural images. And it might have to do with celebrities or famous people. And with the sun sextile Saturn, it is going to be ushering a new era of the collective, a new age of man, basically. Lilith will be moving to 24 degrees Virgo, and Chiron will be moving to 21 degrees Aries. We have the new moon in Taurus coming up on the 8th, and then the moon will move into Gemini shortly after it is conjunct with the sun, like literally 20 hours later. Nothing is happening on the 9th. I will do a reading for the new moon. We're not going to do that here. On the 10th, Jupiter will be moving to 26 degrees in Aries. The North Node will be moving to, in Taurus. And the North Node will be moving to 13 degrees in Aries. That feels very auspicious. Is it 13 or is it 15? What's up, girl? Fulfillment of desire. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Fulfillment of desire with the North Node moving to that degree in Aries. Is it moving to that degree? I think it's supposed to be moving backwards. Serpent coiling near a man and woman, ritualization of a relationship. Well, I do feel like we are just coming more and more into union, 𝗪𝗁𝘁 marriage, and the purging aspect of things is over, and we are actually coming into union in the 3D more and more, but especially when Jupiter gets to Gemini. So be on the lookout for that. And on the 11th, the moon is going to enter Cancer. Do make space for yourself towards the end of this week. From the 9th to the 13th, when moon moves into Leo, you're going to probably feel very sad, very tired, very sleepy, very cozy, nostalgic. Like, that's just what the energy is going to be giving because of the moon in Cancer. Okay. But so let's also talk about that 4th house is what I wanted to do. With the start, we have the 4th house is in Taurus. And we have a major stellium there with Chiron, Venus, the Sun, Uranus, and Jupiter. Right? Oh, Mercury's there too. And it's going to be conjunct with Chiron. So there's a lot happening. What I'm seeing is like there's blockages are being cleared from the materialization of your inheritance, your abundance, your because if you don't clear the negative inheritance, like you inherit debt when somebody dies, and they have debt, their family inherits it. You feel me? But some people, they inherit wealth. And you might have debt and you might have assets, and you know the assets will even out the debt. And I'm seeing that like those contracts are over. Those contracts ended a long time ago, but you had to clear the wreckage of the past out of your life so that the abundance could flow in, because there is a powerful flow of prosperity and life, but the blockages, the disease, the rot had to be cleansed from you. And that's what you've been doing on this dark night of the soul. And that's the shadow work that you've been doing. And that's why you had all those tower moments. Shit had to collapse, but shit had to collapse. You feel me? Shit had to collapse for those things to come in. So they are coming in. But Yeah, I feel like she is going to be so different once we get to Gemini season. So let's get what's happening for what I say, social life, professional life, and money, and then romance. I'm hearing you don't know me, money. It's about to be. We about to show how easily we blow. Are y'all crazy? I'll bust you in 𝗵𝗱𝗲𝗍. That's stop, drop, shut it down, open up shop. That's Rough Riders Anthem by DMX. DMX visits me a lot. He's obviously like one of my spirit guides. Him and Amy Winehouse are two of my spirit guides. And of course, those are people who struggled with addiction and didn't win their fight. But, you know, with such powerful spirit guides, I know I am winning my fight. But for some of you, you really, really like stop playing games with your life. Like that hedonistic shit that you've been on, whatever it is, you need to stop it now. You need to stop it now. That's what Spirit is saying. Somebody's grandmother, one of y'all's grandmother's energy is in the house, and she's like, that's her message to you. You need to stop that shit. That's what she's saying. So 6 of Cups, stop, drop, shut it down, open up shop. Yeah, this is a karmic time. This is a time when like the civil war of the cosmos is really popping off. But like just how good people who did the work are getting their good karma. Those who didn't, they're getting handed their shit. You feel me? 6 of Cups in reverse is what I got for social life. We have the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. And we get the 3 of Swords as well when I split the deck. I do feel Prince of Swords is under that. It's very, very clear. Be incisive. You know what I mean? Like you want the healing to come in. You want the prosperity to come in. You want your abundance to come in. 6 has to do also with Virgo. 6 has to do with routines, has to do with health. It has to do with habits. Like some of you have really unhealthy people around you. This is for social life. You're in that song from Drake and 21 Savage's album, My Treacherous Twin. I don't understand that song. I never understood that song. I don't understand why it's called that. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm tuned out of the culture, but I don't know why it's called that. But he's like, you my treacherous twin. I don't remember the words because I also would skip that song when I would listen to it. And I'll tell you when the moment I stopped. When I read all of Drake's blind items, I had already not really like fucked with him because I felt like he was a clown. He was a cornball. Like, I don't respect him as a man, but I liked his, I like pop music. So it was catchy, whatever, it's cute. But a lot of his music also, I didn't like him because he was a misogynist. And I don't think he does a good live show. I'm going to do some light language. Some of you, be sure to be cleansing. Be sure to be cleansing. I'm going to light some sage here. Yeah, there is an entity. Some of you have entities upon you and they don't want you to get free. So you need to work with an initiated shaman to help you. That's my advice. That's my advice. But you need to be cleansing. You have monitoring spirits on you, some of you. I'm about to put a frequency on for that. Some of you have monitoring spirits on you. Some of you have something like your false twin is in the ethers following you around, and they're mad because you got out of that karmic contract. So you really, like, you have to change who you surround yourself with, because they are able to work through them. Demons body jump. Okay, I had experiences with these people, like roommates that I had before I lived alone. 3 different people were like narcissistic personality disorder, like criminally insane, like scary, unwell people. Powers and principalities, they will maneuver to put these kinds of energies around you. And when it's powers and principalities, that means that they can possess people. And you might wonder, why is that person normal with everybody else, but they act this way towards me? You might wonder, why is this person, like, why does this energy always be around me? It's an energy that's following you to get close to you and to attack you. So that's what I said. You need to be very mindful and careful about the relationships that you keep. It's going to be, ow, ow, ow. You see, they really don't want me to say this. They really don't want me to say this. It's going to be some of you getting into conflicts. Like some of you are going to be having fights with people, because a lot of it is like you knew for a long time that you should have ended this relationship, but you didn't. And now this is what happens. You feel me? Like now the conflict got big to the point that you have to like beef with them. I don't really have any relationships in my life like that anymore, because y'all know I've talked about this for the past. I mean, why do you think I say my 2 previous ex-best friends? If spirit tells me jump, I say how high. When you get it revealed to you that somebody is preying on your downfall, one of those bitches been doing baneful magic to me for the past year. And we grew up together. If you're willing to do that to me because I said that we needed space from this relationship because you hurt me, you've been hating on me. You've been putting evil eye on me. You've been putting negativity on me. Y'all need to stop playing with your lives, because people will dead ass kill you. Jealousy kills. I know. I got a lot of Scorpio energy. I told you there's a beast inside of me. And that's what makes me a ferocious killer and slayer of demons. You feel me? Don't ever trust somebody to tell you how to get through shit who hasn't been through the shit. Okay? That's why the shaman's journey is marked by trauma. You got to get rid of these people. They are bringing you down. They are toxic and they are poisonous. And that is a big part of why you're not getting the things that you want to get out of life, because you're not in a vibrational alignment and frequency, because those people are warping your frequency so that you cannot get it. And they have been either sent by the adversary or they are being used by the adversary. Stop playing with your lives. Okay, because that's your karma. Why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to go through this? You're the one who chose to keep, that these people, you've been told to not fuck with them. And you were afraid, so you didn't. I understand. There's a lot of people that I was fucking with that I was just like, why did I fuck with that person for so long? I'm mad at myself for not having dignity. I'm not mad at myself anymore because I don't do that shit anymore. It's a lot of you who are going to be, yes, exactly, 2 of Cups. You need to focus on the relationships that fill you up, because those are your divine counterparts, your real ones. It's not your day one homies, because that's some hometown energy. It's the OGs who keep it 10 toes down. They're the ones walking in integrity. They got the same vision as you. They got the same drive. They got the same kind of, values as you. Because for me, if I see somebody who is jealous of other people, a hating ass bitch, like, you and I can't be friends. Because, yeah, sometimes I feel envious of other people because if I'm experiencing lack, like, I see people who sometimes, confirmation burp. I would see like younger queer kids in relationships holding hands on the subway. And when I first came out and I would feel like low-key envious and like jealous, And I was like, what is this? Like, why am I feeling this way? I want to be happy for these kids. Like, what is this? My inner child wanted that for themselves. And I had to go in and heal my inner child. You feel me? And I did that shit. But it's a lot of people, y'all will not do that shit. You will just sit there and be like, oh, it's whatever. Like, that person is a bitch. That person is this. That person is that. I've been around people like that. Like, and they were very emotionally and psychologically abusive towards me. And that's why they got canceled publicly. And even though they're still operating, like, people know, and they are not operating to the same way, to the same level that they were before. You don't come back from that shit. People don't trust that person, and sure as hell, people don't respect that person, but that's a hating ass bitch. She talks shit about everybody behind their back. And that's crazy because our mutual friend just texted me. That's how you know. That's how you know. So that person, you know, she did everybody hella dirty. And when I stopped fucking with her, I was like, you know what? My spirits were like, do not fuck with this person. And I had to listen. She disrespected my spiritual practice. And that's when I had to be like, it's a wrap. We're done. You're out. You're gone. I took all my shit. I got out of that relationship. It was a platonic, but also professional relationship. And when I told her what the deal was, it's like, bro, like, why are you even acting like you're sad, as if you don't know that you've been like sneak dissing me to my fucking face hella this whole time? How the fuck are you gonna act like you're sad right now? But I'm gonna break it down for you. She did some really shady shit where, like, she was talking mad shit about this person behind her back. And I was just like, did you talk to her about this? She was like, oh no, but I will. She was never gonna talk to her about it. Then she had the person do a favor for her. I was like, no, fuck no. I don't fuck with that. And so I was like, I can't fuck with you. You talk so much shit about this person. You never talk to her about it. Like, you never said a single word about her to her about it. I can't fuck with that. I can't be around that energy. You know what that tells me? You're going around doing the same shit about me, or you're going to. I can't trust you. And you disrespected me to my face a number of times. She was like, I would never do that to you. Bitch, you already doing it. I know you are. Don't sit here and lie to my face. But it was whatever, you know, we squashed that beef, it's whatever. But let me tell you something. Like, I'm not the one or the two. I don't play that shit. You're not going to be around me gossiping, because that is one of the number one rules of manifestation. You will sabotage your own ability to manifest your own quality of life, your own creations, by gossiping and talking shit and talking trash. This shit I said to y'all just now, I already told her that shit. I told her that. She knows that. And we've seen each other since then. And we, like, you know, talked about it. But we're not friends again. When I see you on the street, it's not beef. But when I know that you're somebody who talks shit about people, I don't fuck with you. That's self-sabotage. We don't do that over here in the Aetherium. So, you know, you knew for a long time these people been bringing you down. It's time to put an end to it. The first time you notice somebody on some weird shit, it should be one red flag and that's it. I call them red flashes because I see it as a flash. It'll be one red flash and you ignore that shit, then it'd be two red flashes. And you don't let it get to be to the point where the sirens are going off, the alarms are blaring. That was one of my previous living situations, is where I developed that understanding, because that's when I saw the red flash. The bathroom was gross. But they told me that they cleaned weekly, but they worked all the time, so they were never home. So I figured, okay, I came towards the end of the week, they haven't cleaned yet. But something told me, no, this is not the right place for you. It turned out that was the living situation where that dude was stealing our rent money for 4 months, and we had to leave because he was criminally insane. He was narcissistic. He was doing psychological warfare towards me. If I had respected that first red flash, it would have not gotten to the point of an emergency crisis. This is what I'm talking about in terms of the collapsing of the what is it? The tower moments. You build your shit on a faulty foundation, you're gonna have tower moments, boo. You need to build your shit on Christ's solid rock. That is integrity and unconditional love. Have enough unconditional love for yourself to not continue putting yourself in compromising situations. So while you are like coming out of alignment with certain people, you are also coming into alignment. Every time you get away from these people, you come into alignment with the people that you're meant to be with. Okay? That's what you have to understand. I don't think that there's any more to say about social life, but these hoes, they're not going to want to let you go. Like I said, that girl that I talked about from in LA, like she, even after I blocked her, like a year later, she messaged me and I blocked her again. And she was like, really? And it's like, yes. Like, you are not a good friend to me. What do you mean, really? Are you surprised? Like, I haven't fucked with you since now. I'm not gonna just get over years of you being a terrible friend. You know what I mean? Also, she was just on some other shit. But you know, I did not know how to pick them back then because I was so indoctrinated into the enmeshed dysfunctional dynamics that I had grown up in the community of origin. But I don't do that. I don't do that shit anymore. And let me tell you something. People can be mad at all they want, but deep down they know what it is and what it isn't. You know, and you just pray for them at the end of it because you just have to. You know, as I said, they're in the wilderness still. They got to do what they got to do. You know what I mean? So this is for money and professional life. You are having a rebirth in your professional life. It was like if you were not able to move forward in your professional life, and if you felt stagnant, if you felt stuck, if you felt like everything that you were trying to do was not like you were not getting it done, you didn't understand why. I know a lot of people have been feeling stuck. There have been a lot of blockages. Like I said, with that fourth house energy in Taurus, a lot of blockages had to be cleared. A lot of blockages had to be cleared. Like I was also saying, that energy, I'm gonna move on because thankfully it's not here anymore. But 9 of Swords, 8 of Wands in the reverse, 4 of Pentacles in the reverse, because you really just like Death card, you really just got to let go of the old way of doing things. It is working smarter, not harder. Okay, you are being elevated and you don't have to you see the wings on her? This is a mystical thing. This is a spiritual thing that's happening. You've been being watched over. I'm trying to decide if I feel like these crows are, yeah, you're being protected. Some of you, the ferocity is what I'm hearing. But you had to get in your self-sovereignty. 9 of Swords. You're in your business mindset now. That's what I'm picking up. You're about your business. I'm about my money, man. For what they talking about. I don't remember the rest of the song. But I'm hearing they did it all for clout. I don't fuck around. Those are not the words, obviously, but that's what I'm channeling. You may have used to do things for the wrong reasons. Like I said, building on a faulty foundation, you may have been like, you know, trying to attract money, or like you may have really been doing it for the gram, doing it for the fame, doing it for whatever else. And you maybe didn't really have the right intentions for the things that you were doing, which is why you are not bringing in what you really needed. You were not getting your needs and wants fulfilled because you had the wrong intention. You were operating from that faulty foundation, right? So it might have been that you were trying to do shit for clout. You were trying to do shit for the fame. You were trying to do shit for, you know, popularity, and you may have gotten that, but you didn't get the money that you were looking for. And also, like I say, like, you can manifest it, but can you maintain it? That's really the question. And your patterns and your behaviors are what determine whether or not you're going to be able to maintain. So some of you, like, your patterns and behaviors, like, okay, you got money coming in, but like you're spending it on bottles at the club. I've been watching Atlanta on so I'm thinking about this, but like obviously Atlanta, the show, is of a time. It's a very, there's a lot coming up about Atlanta for me personally right now. I gotta look into that. But my grandmother lives, and I have a lot of family in Atlanta. There's something about Atlanta, the land in Atlanta, Cop City. Cop City. All eyes on Cop City is what I'm hearing. All eyes on Cop City. Tortuguita. The spirit of Tortuguita is here, I feel. The martyrs. He's saying don't forget about him. Them. They're saying don't forget about them. It's not even about the money. It's not even about the stability necessarily. It's about building new earth. It's about building, you know, the golden age, the age of light, the golden age on earth. Like, it's about taking us out of the Kali Yuga into the higher vibrational timelines. That's what it's about. So when you're doing that, when you're focused on your purpose, the money will flow, the money will come. And any time that you're doing the shadow work to clear the blockages, like, that's all that you need to do. You don't need to worry about anything, because a lot of us, we had shit. Like, also, some of us, our prosperity was so of a different vibration, of a different frequency, from a different realm, that it couldn't come in until the age of Aquarius. Like, these transits that are happening right now are freeing up your energy. I'm hearing free it up until it's backwards. Free it up until it's backwards. So this is the turning of the tide, the turning of the tables. You know what I mean? When in 𝗵𝗁 of the Caribbean at World's End, when they do the, this is crazy right now. Everything, I swear to God, everything always comes back together. When they are going to get Captain Jack out of Davy Jones' locker, and they have to get good and lost, right? Barbossa says, we're good and lost now. And they have to flip the boat over in order to flip into the dimension where Davy Jones' locker is. And that's where Jack is. Mind you, Davy Jones was supposed to usher the souls that died at sea to the afterlife. And I guess he started holding them hostage in his locker. He corrupted his purpose. That's what 𝗪𝗪𝗀 said. And he was like, anyway, he corrupted his purpose because his heart was broken. But they had to flip the boat over in order to get to the other side, to go through the mirror, because mirrors are portals to other dimensions, to get Captain Jack, and then like flip it over again to bring him back. And there's the green flash that would happen every time that happened. That's what's going on. Like, through the looking glass. Really, really go back and watch that vernal equinox 2023 video that I did. I think that when I did, watch the astral insights, because that one has the diagrams that I drew and like the alchemical science shit. Page of Cups, Eight of Pentacles in reverse. This is like, you're not going to know what to do with the kind of abundance that is coming to you. It's not, no more sacrificing of self. No more broken-hearted girl is what I'm hearing. But yeah, till it's backwards. Like, all that shit, it's over. We're going through the looking glass. We were already in a funhouse mirror type shit. They were reflecting back to us a false reality. Queen of Pentacles, yep. It's all coming. Don't worry. Don't let your material circumstances dictate how you feel about yourself. I know that's really hard. It really is. But like I said, like, you got to use your tools. You got to break down whatever stories and narratives you have of yourself, because it has nothing to do with the material. All that has to do with how you feel about yourself, those narratives, who put it in your mind. Once again, you have to remember the fourth house has to do with, and we're about to get romance now. Oh, the Empress came out. It just popped out. Yo, everything related to Venus is popping off for you. You're going to be getting some offers. You got your divine counterpart coming in. If you're not already in a relationship, your divine counterpart is coming in. And if you are, I feel like if you were going through problems, your person is stepping up and they're coming correct. They're deciding to get better, to be the person that they were meant to be. Fourth house has to do with home. It has to do with your mother. It has to do with your family. It has to do with your ancestors, all that shit. So it is about the material manifestation of all of that stuff, your home life, your family life. So for me, it was like, I realized I never had safe housing. I never had a safe home. You know what I mean? So I had to break these curses that were upon me. Why was I choosing to be around these people? Because it was an emulation of what I was experiencing when I was a child, having narcissistic personalities in the house. I don't even know you and you're abusing me. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? That was just wild to me, but it kept happening and kept happening. And that revealed that to me. My therapist would ask me, why do you think this keeps happening? And that's what it was, until I lived by myself. And then I really had to hit bottom and just deal with my shit. And it came back to me, my memories started resurfacing. I did some serious, deep karmic shadow work, deep karma cleansing, when I was back there. Also because being on that land where I was on, activated parts of me from my childhood. So, yeah, that was crazy. And it really revealed to me how this lady did demonic shit to me when I was a kid. We get the Empress and the Tower. And this is for love life. Yeah. Free. I'm hearing free my people till is backwards. Yeah. I'm not getting that some of you are breaking up. I'm getting that whatever was holding you captive is done. It's done. You're being freed. Yeah. The gates are coming down. Ten of Swords in reverse. Exactly. All that shit that happened in the past, all those karmic lessons that you had to learn, that is over. You're not going to have to anymore, because you went through that. You developed the wisdom, you developed the understanding, you developed the knowledge so that you can have the kinds of relationships, the loving, unconditionally loving relationships that you're meant to have. Because you're sitting here, you're like, nope, I have standards. I'm not allowing this type of shit in my life anymore. You feel me? So like I was saying about those apartments, when I would see, I had to learn about, the red flash, or certain things. My therapist was like, so, next time, what you're looking for in terms of what to make sure of before you move in somewhere. To be honest, the fact of the matter is, when you're on a journey and you're being hunted down by malevolent forces and Shaitan and the adversary, it doesn't matter where you go. You're going to have to fight your fight, because like I said, those people were being possessed all the time. That guy, he was stealing that money, sure, but he didn't start stealing that money until I moved in. The other guys, they were like, he never acted that way towards us. One of them, he didn't even know that the guy had been to jail and stuff like that. He only acted that way towards me. He only stole that money when I moved in. So you got to understand, like, if you have karma over you, you got a karmic contract, you got whatever on you, you got an entity on you, you got whatever, you got to deal with that shit or it will follow you everywhere. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about what's on you. And some of that is your anointing, because a lot of you, the spiritual warfare you experience is because of your anointing. Let me get some real insight about the love life. Okay, please and thank you. Be in your power. If you are someone who is dating right now, you need to be in your power. Remember your structures, remember your standards. All I'm saying though, it's about to be summertime. Y'all need to have fun. I was trying not to use that word in this reading. Y'all gotta have fun, okay? Like, have fun. Stop being such a sourpuss. All that shit that happened in the past, like, I feel like a lot of stuff came out through the eclipse window. Like, we purged a lot of stuff going through the mirror. Like I said, through the looking glass. Like, we purged a lot of stuff. We had to cleanse. We had to process. We had to get rid of that shit. And to me, like I said, with this card, After the Rain, I feel good as a motherfucker. Like, honestly, like, yeah, there's some things that are annoying me. I don't know what's next. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, I don't care about things that I cared about just last week. It's not killing me inside. It's not making me have a headache. You know what I mean? Like, just things that I cared about last month, I don't care. You feel me? So have fun. Stop worrying about all that shit that happened in the past. And easier said than done, but if you did your shadow work, then you're not going to care. You know what I mean? If you didn't do your shadow work, you still care. And when you feel these things rising up inside of you, it's no big deal. Don't hate on yourself. Just let it go. You know what I mean? Not let it go, but like sometimes you can't because it's stuck on you. You got to do your shadow work. And that's okay. Sometimes you can do that real quick. For me, a lot of it is through writing. You know what I mean? I was watching Wednesday and I was getting so tired. I have an article about this on my Substack. I'm not going to get into it. But I realized, like, I was getting triggered around my inner child. Did that mean that I'm going to sit there and just be pissed off all the time about everything that happened in the past? No, that's why I wrote that essay. It's called Full of Woe. It's on my Substack. Go read it. That's why I wrote that essay. And what happened after that is like, yeah, I just was like, that's not inside of me anymore. It's not inside of me eating me up anymore. That's just a little golden nugget of wisdom that I get to carry around with me now. And I get peace now. You feel me? Because I feel every part of myself that gets cleansed, I call in Holy Spirit. I call in unconditional love. I call in divinity and healing and peace and grace. So I don't have to deal with like those pieces, those parts of me being filled up with negativity. That is going to change a person. If you used to be karmic as fuck, if you used to be negative, if you used to be a problem, like, and you still want to be like that because you want to resonate with the people from your past, you got to pick one or the other. So with this Pluto going retrograde, Pluto is retrograde as of last week. And you're going to be called to be in your sovereignty, to be in your power. Everything about this reading, I mean, we got the Empress, we got the Queen of Pentacles. This is especially about your feminine power. This has to do with your magnetism. What are you attracting? What are you like allowing yourself to receive? You know what I mean? And so it's like, what do you think that you're worthy of is also very important to understand. So yeah, I don't let, people are like, oh, you changed. That girl, that girl, she was mad because I wouldn't give her a free reading. Like, what? You feel me? Like, no. She was like, oh, you changed in a real snide manner. Yeah, I have self-respect now. So I value myself now. You want to you got a problem with that? That's a problem to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. You're supposed to be my friend. You should want me to want better for myself. You should want me to be like up, but she didn't. So that was not my friend. Okay, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Like, you're not losing anything by leaving those places and spaces in which you were disempowered. Those disempowering dynamics, and you are the company that you keep. So if you're finding yourself and not having, like, you can't find, I'm trying to hang out with moms. I'm trying to hang out with sober moms because I'm trying to start a family. And, you know, before, none of my friends, like, I mean, they were still living how we were living when we were in our 20s. They are just concerned about like partying and bullshit. A lot of them, they didn't even want kids. They don't want to have families. And also, they don't believe that they will ever be capable of having a home and having a family. So it was just like, you know, no beef, but like, I can't spend my time with you people because I need to start cultivating a community for my children. When I have kids, like they're gonna, I'm no contact with my family. They're gonna need to have other kids to play with. You know what I mean? I'm gonna need to have other moms who I can talk to. I'm gonna need to have like people who have given birth to talk to me about it. Because I really would have preferred to be able to do that with like, you know, my aunts and stuff like that. You're supposed to do that with your aunts. You're supposed to do that with your mom. You feel me? I'm not going to, well, I don't know what's going to happen in a year from now or 2 years from now or whatever. But like, considering I'm no contact, how am I going to do that with them? You know what I mean? So it's really just about like, you know, grow and evolve and change and stop worrying about what people from the past think. Like, fuck out of here with that shit. That's over. It's the age of Aquarius, bro. Like, it's no beef. You just got to do what you got to do. You feel me? Like, you really do. Um, and this is going to bring you into alignment with your divine counterpart romantically. It is what it is. I really can't stress that enough. You know, if people want to take it personally, that's their problem. But you just keep minding your business and moving on faithfully. You feel me? Because you have an anointing, you have a counterpart. Not all of you are twin flames. That is what I'm picking up. Not all of you have a twin flame, but you do have a person who's just right for you. And that's true even if you are like poly. You have a person and people who you can have your perfect poly relationship with. You feel me? Like, you have that community for you. And you can't allow anything to get in your way to keep you from experiencing the kind of joy that you want to experience. And also, if those people don't want you to experience that, like, they don't love you. They don't care about you. Period. Four of Wands in reverse, Knave of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah. I really see it being as like you have a lot of options potentially coming towards you in terms of love and romance. This is if you're single. But it could also be if you're like paired up. But you're not accepting with the Knave of Pentacles. You're not accepting any like players or immature people or jokers or anything like this. It's like a type of energy where maybe you used to be interested in people. One, I do feel like trauma bond kind of stuff, but two, maybe you're interested in people just because they were like really good looking or something, but they were F boys and F girls. They were just like players because they were really good looking or whatever, or they were really rich or they dressed really cool or whatever. It's like you have developed priorities that are based in reality. Like you have become, yeah, your discernment is up. Your discernment is up and you need to move forward with that. If you are someone who hasn't been dating and you're entering into the dating pool, you get the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck. Yes, exactly. Oh, and we get the Nine of Swords in reverse again, but this one was not in reverse. If you're somebody who let's put this out here. If you were somebody who you were not active in the dating field and you're starting to come out of that, I want to encourage you. Yeah, you just have fun. Don't take things too seriously, but also don't let anyone disrespect you. Don't let anyone play in your face. You know, if you had your priorities messed up before, you didn't really have any standards before, if it was just like, oh, like, it was a relationship for clout. It was a relationship for the hermit. Yep, exactly. You're coming out of hermit mode. Your person, for those of you who have been in hermit mode, I don't think that your person is coming out of hermit mode just yet. So you should just have fun and mind your business. Temperance in reverse. Don't be crazy about it though. You will have people who are just like thirsty and being thoughty and like, you know, I am actually picking up that you might be encountering some people who have like S addiction. I gotta get my charger. You might be encountering people who have sex addiction, and you might be encountering people who like know what to say to get on your good side, but they are actually like, they have a hole in their heart, and you have to be the one. Like, honestly, if you can't tell a good match from a bad match, then that's something that's wrong with you. Okay. And I'm not saying this as a character flaw, but it is an impediment and it is a liability. And you, like, I had to really spend a year learning about social norms and social dynamics, particularly within the patriarchy, particularly within the Western world. Like, literally buying books, reading them, watching videos, you know what I mean? Like, I had to learn about all that shit. And it wasn't just dating coaches. It was like, it was a lot of different stuff, including watching like media. I learned a lot about how cis people see people of the opposite gender and or sex from watching Seinfeld. Like, it was really eye-opening for me. And I had to learn that shit because I don't think that way, but others think that way. So I don't have to necessarily operate from that space, but I need to know what I'm dealing with. That's strategic warfare. That's having wisdom. Okay. I'm not saying, oh, don't date, like, you know, date who you want to date, but please don't give any time or energy to these players out here. You know, just really honor yourself, because the first thing that we got was the Empress. You need to understand the value of your energy. You need to understand the value of your essence, and don't let these mofos play in your face. Dead ass. Because you're lonely or you're bored or whatever. You know, there's a scene in Lady Bird where she's about to go to prom with this guy who was like, he lied to her to get her to hook up with him, I guess. And he gaslights her about it. But then, like, she still goes to prom with him. And when he goes to pick her up for prom, he honks. He doesn't even come up. And her dad is like, are you really going to go in the car with somebody who honks? And she's like, yeah, I think I am. She ends up getting out of the car and like asking them to drop her off at her friend's house, because she's realizing, like, I can't pretend to be this person for these people. Like, it was 𝗬𝗪𝗄 𝗪𝗏. The character was played by 𝗬𝗪𝗄 𝗪𝗏. So he's supposed to be really good looking, right? And like, she's hanging out with the rich kids, and like, he's really cute and like whatever else, and they're cool. But she realizes she doesn't like that. Like, they're not the people for her. He doesn't respect her. He lied to her. He gaslighted her. He's fake deep, you know, all this shit. And like, this is the thing. She was 17 going on 18. And I guess that happened when she turned 18. But, you know, if you're a grown adult, you should know better by now. And you need to stop doing the same thing over and over. That's what it comes down to. And Spirit is very clear about that. Don't blame anyone else, because you know better by now. You have Instagram, you have social media, you have YouTube. You don't have an excuse for why you don't know better anymore by now. You don't want to do better, don't do better. But don't be surprised when you don't get what you want. So we get the Ace of Cups on the bottom of the deck. New life, new energy. If you have had stagnation in your love life, new lifeblood is coming in. New energy is coming in. A lot of it may have been that your spirits, ancestors, and guides your great gods, guides, and ancestors did not want you mixing up with some low vibrational 𝗪𝘁s and 𝗪𝘁s. They didn't want you getting thrown off of your path. I really want to encourage you to just stay focused on your path right now. Okay, so you don't get lost in the sauce. All right. Don't get caught up with people who are stuck in life. All right. Only dynamic energies, and you need to be present in your body for all of your engagements and all of your relationships, because you're going to be able to tell how your energy mixes with another person's energy. Is this energy like effervescent? And that can breed life. New life can grow from that. Or is it dead? Is it stagnant? Is it like a puddle on the ground? You know what I mean? You want to know that, because that's not going to breed life. That's not going to be good for you. But if you're already in a relationship, like, if you've been having problems, I do sense that solutions are coming if you remove your ego from it. If y'all are both willing to remove your ego, say sorry if you did something wrong. Try to see shit from the other person's point of view, from the other person's perspective. What else? New energy. If you just been feeling like y'all been feeling tired, maybe mental illness has been a problem. Like you just been exhausted, you've been experiencing burnout, y'all are not feeling that spark. It's about to come. It's about to come, but y'all had to become the best, the highest version of yourself. Going through this rebirth period, you have to become the highest version of yourselves in order for that energy to come in. So with that Ace of Cups energy, you got to say what you got to say. You got to be honest. Some of you, it's like you need to break up with your person, or you need to have a serious conversation and you're afraid that they're going to break up with you. If you tell them that your standards, your needs, you have changed. If y'all are really meant to be together, they're not going to. But like I said, I did get the Tower. We did get the Tower out here. And if y'all are not meant to be together, they will break up with you probably. But that's a good thing. That's a blessing. And that's something to be grateful for. So that's all I have, I think. We get the Hangman and we get the Two of Cups in reverse. Yeah, some of you, I'm hearing burning and churning. The karmics are getting karma. Karma for karmics. So that's all you need to know. But don't worry about it. That's why you can let go of the past, knowing that everyone who played in your face is getting exactly what they deserve. Try something new. Try being vulnerable. Try being open to new experiences and new relationships and new dynamics. Try it a different way. Try not being the one who has to constantly be in control. Try doing things from the perspective that you never done them. So if you're like, oh, I have to plan the date, I have to control this, I have to go out, especially if you're a feminine and you just be in your masculine hella, it's like, if you don't have to, like, let the person come to you. You gotta be, that's a big part of it too, is like, some of you really need to be in your I don't chase, I attract era and actually like do that shit. And then others of you, like if you're meant to be in your masculine in your relationships, I'm Scorpio Venus, so I'm just supposed to sit here and attract for real, like be in my proper Empress energy and attract from that place. And when somebody comes to me, like if they're right for me, let them in. If they're not right for me, if they show that they're not sovereign, get out of here. But some of you who have your, look at your Venus, look at your Mars, but especially your Venus, look in your 7th house. If you're someone who's more so supposed to be masculine in romance, you need to step your fucking game up and stop waiting for the feminine to come and make a move on you. Like, get your shit together, bro. And it doesn't matter. That's true for same-sex relationship too. You feel me? Like, and if you're both very neutral people, each and every single one of us is more masculine or more feminine in any aspect of our lives. And it goes like, look at your different houses and that will be able to tell you, oh, in business, I am more someone who's electric and I'm outgoing and I go and I get it. And in romance, I'm more magnetic. I just allow it to come to me. I am an attractive force. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know your essence and you got to know who you are. We do chart healing in Cosmic Wellness. You can book some chart healing with me. I can help you jailbreak your chart and figure out what that's all about. But yeah, that's what you need to understand is like, if you are not getting what you want, probably you're not doing something the way that you're supposed to be doing it. Probably you're out of alignment. And some of it comes down to like, what is it? Like, you know, the energy, as I said, energy had to move into a certain position in order for us to be able to move forward and receive certain things. But in that time, you had to be getting right. You had to be getting right within. If you didn't, then even when the energy gets aligned, you're not in alignment. So whatever, you feel me? Be your most sovereign self. Be your best self. Be your authentic self. Don't be afraid what anybody has to say about it, because, listen, you mind your business. That's all you got to do. All right? I love you all truly and deeply. I hope that this was helpful. We covered a lot. But this is how my lives always were, including on like you go back and you watch on the Aetherium Instagram my lives that were saved, and they are 2.5 hours, most of them, because we have, this is like for the real mystics, for the real scholars. This is not just like, you know, as they say, Starbucks spirituality. I don't play that shit. So I hope that this was helpful. I love you all truly and deeply. Remember to stay in your power. Nobody can take that away from you. Just like Kanye said, make me do something. Nah, can't make me. Even if the money long, I think he said, can't make me or something. I don't remember what he said. Can't pay me maybe, but like, just stay true to yourself. Stay true to who you are inside. And to the divine spark that is within your heart, guiding you and leading you to where you're supposed to be and who you're meant to be. Don't let fear rule you today, family. And here's a prayer that you can use. I use this prayer every single day. Creator, relieve me of this fear and direct my attention to what you would have me be. Creator, relieve me of this fear and direct my focus to what you would have me be. Focus also has to do with Scorpio. So you can use either one. And it works. It works. Try praying every day for 90 days and see how your life changes. And then at the end of that, come back and tell me if prayer doesn't work. You feel me? I love you all truly and deeply. I will see you on the flip side. Take good care. And book a reading with me or a healing. Bye.